My name is Amit Jain. I'm with Blackstone for the last 5.5 years. Batch of 2008 from ISB, joined McKinsey right after the campus, and 5 years back joined Blackstone. Before ISB, I was with Hindustan Lever. Before ISB, I spent, I'm an IIT Kharagpur graduate, mechanical engineer. Was fortunate to get through Hindustan Lever in what they used to call business leadership training, which is essentially a 2-year program. They take you around stints, supply chain, manufacturing, marketing, and then they'll put you into a function of your choice. I chose supply chain and was running factories for them before I joined HUL. So I was the manufacturing manager for their Goa plant and was doing a little bit of supply chain restructuring projects for HUL global, at a national level before I joined ISB. Spent about 4 years with them. There's always this moment in your life when you figure out you don't know what you don't know. And my last assignment at Hindustan Lever was about trying to re-optimize the way the supply chain for HUL was configured. And I was working with very, very senior folks, and we figured out suddenly there's a huge opportunity to kind of create value. And that was that moment about moving from pixel to picture. And you see there's a lot to be done. And I started asking people around on who does this usually. We wouldn't have figured this out. And I think the obvious questions was these management grads. And I thought there's something to be done here. And that was MBA. Once I nailed down that there is MBA to be done, because I don't know what I don't know, and hopefully I'll discover that part about not knowing what you don't know. The choice was to probably go to a global B school. I've been an India fan. I've been in India all throughout my life. Even at my tech school, I had a choice to do masters outside. Chose to remain back in India. At that point, if you see global school at India location, I think ISB was an obvious answer. And the best part of the school is it does recognize your 4 years of experience to give you a 2-year program in a very efficient 1-year schedule. Lots of them. I'll be very honest. You're like a kid. You don't figure out who is influencing your life. It's like, throughout your life, your parents would be the biggest influence, but you don't realize that on a day-to-day basis. I don't think if you asked me this question right after my graduation, I would have said that, I'm exactly the same as I was walking in, or maybe, some finish here and there. I think when I look back now, 8 years that I'm out of school, a lot of people have influence on that. I guess people who I remember and I can name, Bob Stein, Prashant Kale, Mark Finn, Suren Bansika. I think these are people who have ingrained in you some fundamentals about what's the right answer, and you just don't deviate from it. If the people like Mark Finn can make accounting interesting, I think that's just unparalleled. So they do have a lot of influence on how I think now. I think the takeaways which influence from an ISB experience, if that's the question, I guess what ISB tells you is to be on a treadmill. I think the school, the way the program is, before you realize, your last term just got over, you're preparing for the next midterm. And I guess that's the brutal reality of life. You probably have more to come than what has gone behind. And I think if you live through the ISB system for 8 terms, 1 year, you get used to it, that what has gone behind is just part of it and there's more to come, and let's just prepare for the next one and the next one. I think that spirit which this school builds in you is probably the biggest takeaway, that you don't worry about one thing which you missed because you have 5 more good things to come. Life on campus, fun, long, entertaining, lots of friends. I guess the one, it's a little long story, but the one anecdote I have is we had this friend of ours who wanted to go to a particular company, and a lot of us did, it was a prank which probably ran for 6 weeks. We created a dummy email ID, wrote to him saying that we picked your profile from the ISB profile book. You look like a great fit, and there are a few interviews we need to conduct before we can call you to an out-of-country location for an in-person interview. You trust me not, we did 6 interviews with the guy. He used to weigh 78 kgs. And then after the 6 interviews, we just said that, why don't you send your BMI? And obviously that was off. And we said that you're rejected because the limit was 72 kgs for this role. And that guy was just all over the place in terms of his, it was probably the biggest disaster of his life to realize that for 72 kgs he's not getting through. And then he started writing emails on that fake email ID that give me 6 weeks, I'll bring this 6 kgs down, you can make the offer contingent to that, etc., etc. And it became almost like a serious situation of how to unfold. So I think that was the most interesting anecdote. Whenever I see of this face now, it's just crazy. I guess as I mentioned, it's amazing when, as somebody said, when you are writing history, you don't know. I guess it's a little bit true for transformation. When you are going through a transformation, I don't think you know that I am getting transformed. But again, in hindsight, was it transformational? I guess yes. Partly because, I was just telling some people earlier this morning, ISB is a great equalizer. Wherever you come from, I think it's a restarting point, and I think the transformation is just being equalized to on a lot of platforms. So that's where I would define the transformation. How it has changed me as a person? Again, looking back, as I said, you would ask me 1 year right after ISB, I don't think I would have a better answer. I think what this place in hindsight has taught me, and I think also through the process, is we are born and brought up in few cohorts, right? More often than not, you learn from people. I think ISB in the Indian context is probably the most diverse school, which recognizes, appreciates, and acknowledges diversity as its virtue. And I guess that's probably the element which is my own appreciation for people who come from different backgrounds, and just being humbly able to accept that these people can do so well and can probably do much better than you can on many things, and more often than not on things which you yourself can do well. I guess that's a big acknowledgement. I think this is the one. I genuinely mean it. To be honest, I never realized walking out of ISB that I'll be back at campus and talking in front of this camera. So I think I guess I'm arrived. I think life has been kind. I'll be honest. I guess we also went through, when we graduated, it was the best time to graduate. Those 6 months down the line, it was the worst time, because we graduated in April 8 and the markets went down in September of 2008. But I think India has done fairly well despite all the global turmoil, and to that extent, the choice of business school to be in India. I think if I were to be graduating out of the US or some of the Western market B schools, I think life would have been probably fundamentally different than that choice. Again, I don't think I made it with all the right judgments, but the call to do ISB in those markets in the last 8 years is a function of just the fact that the markets have done well, and life has been somewhat being kind. How I have progressed, done 3 years of consulting, and then last 5.5 years of private equity. I guess the toolkit is the same, which is you should know a little bit of fundamentals, and then you shouldn't mess around too much with people, which is you should just be great with people. And if you have the ability to ask right questions, coupled with the fact that you go along well with people, I guess that's just the recipe of success. I don't know if there's any codified recipe to get into private equity. Just be at it and you will turn lucky. So I think that the event will come. I don't think you can program for it. Look for good people around you and look for tough situations around you. Avoid bad people and avoid good situations, because they don't make good human beings and they don't make good professionals eventually. So look for good people, look for tough situations, you will turn lucky one day. I took away from ISB is ability to just recognize that there are different people, and different people can be good in a very different manner, and it is as good as you being good in a particular manner. That's takeaway number one. I guess takeaway number two is just some business fundamentals, because those business fundamentals remain irrespective of the cycles in the industry, irrespective of the type of business you are looking at. If you have those, it's a little bit like the ABCD of management. I think ISB is good with it, because it just gives you the ABCD and the most core fundamentals in that condensed period, does not confuse with too much noise around the data, and at the same time brings the global relevance of the content which they teach. So I guess those are some of those big takeaways which consciously, unconsciously, one uses almost in everyday life. Physical infra is the same. The sort of part of the schools have changed. Which is, I guess you guys are much younger. The backgrounds which you come from is significantly different. We still had significant proportion of people coming from IT and in a set of industry. I think whatever little people I've interacted with today seems like extremely diverse. Our batch was diverse, and I think by that metric, you probably are 3 times or 4 times more diverse. I think the school has also changed in terms of strength of alumni network. We weren't that fortunate. I think we were very fortunate in terms of the commitment of people. I think you're a little bit more fortunate in terms of just the number and the volume, and therefore multiplied with their commitment, you are much more at disposal than we had. I guess the school has probably changed a little bit on the importance of the industry mix onto the curriculum. We were still trying to figure out which industries we are good at. I think the school has found its own leadership in consulting and few other and marketing. I guess the school has a little bit to cover on finance, which it will definitely. So I think the school has really found its ground, which we had people going to consulting, but I think the school has definitely established its dominant position in consulting and marketing now.